Oh yeah, what's up? It's Demented, and for today's video, I have a kind of an OD prediction because OD was going on, and I wasn't able to really get out a real video for that. But it's something that's happening, that's current, that I want to give some of my thoughts on. Probably talk my shit a little bit. Because I didn't necessarily play in this open division, at least not very much, and with that I kind of want to, I guess, shed a little light where I feel like I can, which I definitely think, like, in terms of tier 3, these are people I've played against, these are people I've competed with, that I definitely think I'm able to kind of make a judgment call on. So I guess hopping right in, I first want to start looking at the losers bracket, and then I will go up to the winners bracket. The only thing that I'm a little bit, I guess, confused about is that in the past, if you've, I guess, been around since last open division, which I'm assuming most people have, normally the teams that go into the second weekend, which will be on the 27th, is the people that have made playoffs, and that's typically, if I remember right, the top 16. But looking at at this, there's only 8 teams here, so I could be completely wrong in that, but regardless, I want to pretty much get into this for the most part straight away. So I'm gonna still be kind of doing this in a whole different, in the same like double limb bracket style, and try to get everything, I guess, kind of sorted out in a way. Because this is going to be pretty long. I don't know if maybe we just didn't have enough people that signed up to make a top 16. But I mean, I guess just getting into the losers bracket, into this M1 versus Cafe game. That Cafe was a team that I talked about in it was a couple Liquipedia dumps ago, that I wasn't too high on their roster, and I think I said, and I could be entirely wrong, but that I might expect them to make top 16 but not make it any further than that, and my expectations still haven't really changed that much, and those are not the right teams. So Cafe has, for the most part, in terms of people, I'm assuming starting, is probably, obviously Rose, probably Paradox, and just, I mean, DPS line. Like, looking at it now, this is definitely a team that is going to kind of mess with teams that aren't synergized enough to really, I guess, match up to where Cafe's, I would probably say where their peak is mostly in terms of their, I guess, actual mechanical performance, as opposed to their like synergy performance. There might be a couple good synergized plays here and there, and kind of scattered out, but I don't think there's been enough play with all of them together that I would be confident saying that they can do very well against a really good team. But on the other hand, looking at M1, this is a team that, one of the teams I coached, actually, or that I do coach, actually played against. And the only people that I really know from this team are Avery, whose rep is kind of shaky at the moment. Biz, Lava is definitely playing. Matt, there's no shot Mateball's fucking playing. Nox, Zemrit, a couple of kind of bigger names, I guess. And if I had to guess, I would just say that, although I feel like M1 probably beats Cafe, because I feel like they're in the exact same boat in terms of, realistically, Cafe isn't a team that's going to, like, the synergy wise, it's not going to kick some team's ass. but I don't feel like this team is really that much better in that sense. I feel like the tank line of Lava Avery is probably very not exactly shaky, but the mechanics are there, but it's very unsynergized. Especially if you get Avery on a character that he's not very used to playing or not very good with. I mean, a couple things. I guess I don't know if I should really give, I guess, hints, but if I were to say people that would be abusable on either of these rosters, Avery, if on a character that he's not used to playing, is very abusable. I mean, a lot of these people just aren't, I don't think are in a like completely separate league to the point where they're unbeatable, untouchable. Like, I would probably say that Lava's Monkey isn't anything to really like I guess hold up that much. I mean, for the most part, I don't see anything that really stands out about the roster. It's pretty good, I guess, if you're just talking overall tier 3 though. But this is like a team that I would expect neither of these teams to win the match after this match, let alone make trials. But if they do, more power to them. I am, like, again, more than happy to be proven wrong as per usual. But I guess with that being said, I guess shout out to Cafe for doing better than I guess I thought you guys would do. But next match is ATK versus 10 per 10. So 10 per 10 is kind of a mixed team, because there's Romani, who a lot of people are alleging to be, actually I don't want to put him on blast too much, but has been rumored to have been, I guess, kind of boosted in a way, or just has a very interesting account profile of like being 4K and then now all of a sudden is like 4.6 and no one's heard of the guy, that kind of stuff. Death is someone who I've worked with. I believe I've worked with Dunmer. I'm not entirely sure if I remember how well they played. So in terms of, I guess, let's just summarize it all a lot faster. That I feel like Dunmer is probably going to be average. Death would, in terms of flexibility, like slightly above average, but nothing that's going to absolutely 1v6. Kevin Durant, very mid. Romani, very mid, easily counterable. Light would be, I mean, assuming you're catching light on something like a tracer or something, you're gonna have kind of again that slightly above average. Micro, very mid, and to be honest, these two I'm not sure about, but I think in terms of this team and how they match up against ATK mode. ATK mode is a team that I've been, for the most part, pretty, like, I guess solidly big on for a while, being that I've scrimmed against them a fair amount of times. I mean, Rocket's a good friend of mine. In terms of how you would take down ATK mode, I personally, and I can go back and look at the other team and see what you can abuse, but personally, their support line looks very weak to me. Just in terms of, like, I guess matching them up to where I would say the bar should be for tier 3. I would say these is flexibility wise aren't exactly where you would want them to be. I think people that could be pretty standoutish are people like Ship. Crimson also has some really good synergized plays. Rocket, you're probably getting Rocket on the Tracer, and seeing Rocket in a Tracer 1v1 versus Light. Rocket, I know, is a very dedicated person when it comes to figuring out the, I guess, kind of best intricacies of 1v1s. So on the dueling aspect, you having Rocket against Light is actually really good in favor of ATK, in my opinion. And Chime, I've seen some okay things from Chime, but not enough to where I'm like, I would not be I'm not a Chime stan. I'm not by any means someone that's gonna like, I don't want to gas up someone who I'm not entirely I guess sold on. So Chime, I would say, is like, it's mid with some upsides, with a very good peaks, but like if you're getting them on an average day, no one that's gonna really stand out or be like a real pain for you. Now moving on to this team. First off, the synergy looks all over the place. I've definitely seen that I believe Death was on Hot Streak like before this team, which I also talked about in a Liquipedia dump not too long ago. So having, I mean, synergy-wise, this is going to be all over the place. So immediately, ATK mode's going to have an advantage, in my opinion. But I think people or things that you can abuse, I wish I knew at least what these two like played, because I have literally no idea in the slightest. I'm assuming they might be like flex supports or something, and if they are, since I've never heard of them, odds are they're probably abusable. Micro, I really don't want to have to pull up the Mercy 1v1 screenshot again. I don't know, man. But Micro is someone who I think is pretty mid and has a fair amount of downsides if you catch him on the right day. Dunmere, I would say, is pretty mid. Death, again, is someone who has possible carry potential and you could look out for. Romani, probably more on the decline. Light, again, like Light, if Light is just playing against your team, I would probably say upside. But assuming that he's possibly going to be caught in a Tracer 1v1 versus Rocket, then I would probably say more of mid to a tiny downcline. And this could honestly go kind of either way, and it's all for the most part going to come down to mechanics. But synergy wise, I feel like ATK mode are definitely going to I guess bring it out. So going off of that, my prediction I guess in final is that ATK mode is going to beat 10 per 10, and that Cafe will probably lose, and then it will make that I don't want to like squish everything in, so I'll do that's a 1. I promise you that's a 1 versus ATK, and then between that I think ATK is just gonna wipe. So then with that, so now M1 is going to lose, and then it's going to be a matter of ATK waiting for the losers out of all of these people. And I actually don't know how. I think ATK mode has to play like a lot of fucking games, now that I think about it. But let's move on to a game with Signal Hands and Edge Gamers. Let's bring that back. So Sigma No Hands, I think this is a very rough team to look at. This isn't a team that I would take very seriously for the most part, in terms of the only person that you can recognize is someone who's been banned on multiple occasions and is all around just a really toxic person. So I'm assuming the rest of these guys are all in the same, I guess, kind of light as him. So personally, I'm not going to give a shit, and I'm not even going to talk about him, to be honest. I don't want to give him the time of day. So moving on to Edge Gamers, this is also another team that I don't think very highly of, in terms of like, as you might have seen, I have Vega blocked on like pretty much everything. Joshua is someone who I used to play against and used to kind of have respect for, but I guess over time I feel like he does well when there's a lot of synergy around him, but if that synergy is not there, then they're probably just gonna fall flat. Basically, I think it's pretty safe. It would be pretty safe for me to say this match doesn't matter, and in my prediction, whoever loses this match will immediately not only lose to either Maryville or Side Hustle, but will lose to ATK in the losers bracket as well. So moving on to, I guess, speaking of Maryville and Side Hustle, I haven't seen Maryville's roster in a while, and that's also something that I want to, I guess, kind of make note of, is that these are all teams that I am not exactly someone who has been, I guess, kept up with all of this collegiate stuff in terms of, I mean, this is like a raw, this isn't scripted, I just am looking and giving thoughts. So immediately though, you already know that, like, looking at a Maryville roster, you already have to have kind of high expectations. I mean, names that stick out, first off, not in a good way, Cameron, yikes. So I won't even get into that. But in terms of, I mean, Halo, Guru, like, there's a lot of okay components. Personally, I would just abuse the shit out of Cameron. I think Cameron's a big downside to this roster. And I mean, out of the rest of the people, I assume they're pretty good, but personally, I don't know enough about collegiate to give anyone who's like abusable or someone who I think would really, I guess, kind of get shit on. So moving on to Side Hustle, this is a I'm pretty sure this is a all ex-contenders roster, I'm pretty sure, besides Edison maybe. Maximus being from Susano, Madro being from Quara, so I guess actually not. Eli being from EU, so that's actually a thing that I want to bring up. First off, I guess just looking overall, I would probably say Madro is someone who you can abuse. I haven't seen a lot of good stuff from him. Maximus, I would assume, is mid, since was good enough to get picked up to Susano, but wasn't good enough to replace someone by the likes of Gummy. Milky Man, I have no real context to go off of. Eli, I think I've played against Eli as well as Edison. This DPS line I think is very mid to lower and pretty abusable, assuming your DPS are just mechanically better. If you force a lot of 1v1s, there's definitely going to be a lot of like leeway, and you're going to be able to kind of distance yourself in terms of just raw mechanics, beating them out through those raw mechanics. Fish Cake, I have no respect for as a main support. I don't think very highly of them. Milky Man, I would just assume Milky Man is mid. I mean, even though they've been on, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say mid to like sort of upper, in terms of I think maybe comms wise, Milky Man can help this roster a bit, but in the, I guess, grand scheme, this is going to be a close match. But if I had to guess, I would say this match doesn't matter. But I have faith in Maryville. So I would probably just say that that's a pretty safe bet in terms of seeing Maryville go the distance. I think this would probably end up being I'm trying to remember if the series are like longer. I would probably say this is like if this is like a best of 5, then I'm thinking it's probably like a 3-1 ish type of deal for Maryville. But if not, I'm gonna try at least to be in the chat to, I guess, kind of watch and see how well my predictions go. But I think regardless, whatever team is in here is just gonna get like dropped like a fucking rock out. And then same with them playing against whoever wins this, playing against Maryville. Yikes. So going back here, that means that basically ATK is probably around over here in terms of ATK, and then it would be Side Hustle. And ATK versus Side Hustle would be a pretty fucking interesting game, actually. Because this is kind of the point where I have to kind of start thinking synergy wise who is going to, like, I haven't although I have scrimmed ATK in the past, and they are like definitely a top tier team, and they are very deserving of something like top 3. I don't think I would really have to see more like recent VODs to be a lot more confident, as well as seeing Side Hustle play. But I mean, for all I know, if they're doing well and like run up the bracket the way I'm thinking and are in top 3, I can maybe try and tell a couple of their people who I think are abusable, since I know some of them. But I mean, I guess just getting rid of Maryville and going to ATK, because ATK really fucking showed up this OD, and I think it was really kind of a long time coming. And I don't, again, want to hype up people that I don't believe in, but I think if there's a team that at least deserves respect, if not for how well they're performing, for how long they've been together, and how long they have yet to, like, I guess, kind of blow up as a roster, even when things get rough. It's kind of something to look up to in a way. But regardless, I guess less side talk and more on to this game. So if we compare DPS matchups, I think so this is going to be interesting, because you have Chime, someone who I'm not very big on, or not, I guess, huge on. I'll put it like that. And this is like, I don't. Okay, let me make sure you follow my words closely. That I don't not disrespect Chime. It's a very mutual feeling. I don't think he's bad, and I don't think he's like carry material. Except he does have his like very here and there moments. So this is all also going to come down to I guess longevity, because you also kind of have to think of that. And I know that as someone who's played with Rocket in the past, that I am pretty sure the kid just doesn't get tired in terms of like competing, and kind of is restless when it comes to that, and will definitely try to keep the energy up for the entire day. I have no clue how it would really be for anyone else, but regardless, I am really hoping that they can pull this out, but ultimately, if I want to summarize everything, how could I think this is definitely going to be the closest game out of anything in Open Division that we have seen. But I think if they're able to keep up the longevity, because they'll be playing a lot for that day, and also not to mention, if you're winning not only what would be it would be 1, then 2, then 3, you have momentum, as opposed to people who, in Side Hustle's case, would probably lose to Maryville and then have to punch up and really try to figure out how to regain momentum, and they would have to do that mid-match, as opposed to ATK, who's probably going to come in with it. Now, with that being said, it would be ATK beating Side Hustle, and then Side Hustle being out, and it would be a Maryville ATK finals, which, regardless, I think is a best, or a first to 4, I believe, or a first to 3, one of the two. And I think it's a best of 7 is what it's called. So in a best to 7 scenario, it's really hard to tell, but I think Maryville beat ATK in a really close finals. Probably like, let me just make sure I'm getting the rules right. In that the finals are best of 7. Oh yeah, and I forgot, the bracket champion gets a head start in turn instead of having to beat them twice. So if I had to guess, I would probably say, in terms of scores, that Maryville is gonna beat ATK mode. I'm trying to think if it's first to 4 or not, because I think it is. So if it's a first to 4, then I would probably say it's 4 to 2. I don't know the exact like maps. That's just my complete guess. But I mean, the rest of these games I feel like are pretty just more or less like not exactly sweeps, but are probably going to be more along the lines of 2-1s, 3-1s, all that kind of shit. So again, just to recap everything, I want to go over one last time, and this will be like a separate thing to like fully encapsulate everything for someone who doesn't want to, I guess, listen through all of my, I guess, kind of analysis and understanding. That I think ATK beats 10 per 10. M1 beats Cafe. This will be close, but regardless, I don't think this matters, because M1 goes against ATK and they lose, and then it gets sent up to the winners bracket, which has basically 2 weirdo teams, and basically whichever one of those weirdo teams drops down loses to ATK. I don't see a ISA time where one of those kind of, because it looks like a pug team. Both of them look like pug teams, and what I mean by that is like a team that just kind of got scrapped together with a bunch of like toxic people in most cases, and just kind of got told to go wild. So the question mark team loses to ATK. And then on the other end of the spectrum, with what would be up here, Maryville I think Maryville beats Side Hustle. This game does not matter because whatever team goes up against Maryville, Maryville is just going to win. I am almost certain of it. And then after, I think whatever team, whatever, I guess both teams drop to play ATK mode, would be both teams, I think, get beaten by ATK mode. I think the closest game is going to be Side Hustle versus ATK mode, and if ATK beats Side Hustle, then they're gonna like have to ride their wave of momentum against Maryville, and I think they choke it, to be honest. I think it's like gonna be really close to the end, and it's gonna be something like a 4-2. I will try to watch it and be there for it. I mean, fuck, I don't want to make like, I guess I don't want to say too much. I was gonna mention possibly co-streaming it, but nah, I don't want to guarantee anything because I also don't know if it's guaranteed that it's going to be streamed. But regardless, I think that's pretty much going to be it. So I believe Maryville is going to come in first. ATK second. And now that I think about it, because I think this is kind of, so this is also something that's very dog shit, is that right now, and this was something that Aqua brought up in a tweet, is that one of these teams that I don't think either of them necessarily deserve to be in the top 8 are basically one of them are guaranteed to be, what is it, top 3? Unless it's like a thing where one of either, like, whichever one of these teams has to play Side Hustle to see who gets 3rd and 4th. So I would say if I had to guess and wanted to make it, I guess, official, MU ATK, that was bad, second, and then Side Hustle for 3rd. I mean, I want to do a lot more of these whenever these Pro Point Cups come out, and I hope I'm able to. Besides the fact that I would be doing it while competing in it, so I would have to kind of look into to a lot more stuff. I wish I could actually see the exact numbers for how hard it was for specific teams, like or I guess like in terms of like, just for example, like the Maryville versus Drifters game. I wish I could like see the map score and stuff. But I really think that this is going to be the standings toward the end, and I believe that's it. So if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. I appreciate you so fucking much. I mean, if you enjoyed a kind of prediction video like this, I'll be sure to do more. So be sure to let me know, like, comment, do whatever the fuck. Follow me on Twitter so you know when all my videos go live. I appreciate the fuck out of you. Love you all so much. And I will see you when I see you. Later.